Each week we want to bring you updates. Things are changing fairly rapidly, and they'll continue to change. We'll cover the same items: the impact on Amazon, the impact on Amazon vendors, crisis responses and actions to consider, and then finish, as Patrick mentioned, with questions and answers. Mainly, we're going to focus on changes or updates that have been made. We will include a couple of items from past presentations because they carry over. However, most of these will be updates to give you the latest information and how it's impacting you. Amazon, we had reported it hired was looking to hire 100,000 new workers, and they actually did that by April 13th. It's a really aggressive plan in just a couple of weeks to get 100,000 new workers, and has actually announced hiring an additional 75,000 new workers in addition to, because they have such demand that they're trying to follow and capture. In addition, they've stepped away from things as the Amazon shipping to actually bring more capabilities back in-house. The Wall Street Journal actually was reporting that Amazon's expanding shipments to non-essential items just this week. So we expect Amazon to be increasing purchase orders on areas that are lower stock, and enabling, in addition to increased purchase orders over the next couple of weeks on what they've so far considered non-essential items, they're also enabling third-party sellers to resume shipping. So this suggests that Amazon is feeling much more comfortable in its capacity to handle incoming products and not just essential products. In terms of personal interactions with Amazon buyers, they have been pulled away, as we mentioned in the past, but it's actually to support an internal, what they're calling COVID-19 task force. So buyers will continue to be less responsive probably in the next couple of weeks until things get back to a stable level. We have seen a couple of buyers return and re-engage on several accounts, but in a very limited manner on focused items. Product suppressions continue as well. Just last night, we received a message that's shown here. This product is under review for being a potentially prohibited product against the policy. And it's a virus claims policy that we've never seen before. We filed a ticket immediately for our client and hope to get that removed, as it's a product that was flagged incorrectly. But it shows that Amazon is much more aggressive in suppressing products right now than it has been historically in the past, and particularly around any virus claims or potential virus-related products. Its warehouses have been, as other working areas where there are people, have had people with infections as well. So over 50 Amazon US warehouses and several Whole Foods stores have actually reported cases of coronavirus. And that this, we expect, as infections continue, that POs will be rerouted to continue to respond to any warehouse shutdowns that are occurring, but Amazon has figured out procedures to reduce the amount of time that warehouses are shut down by doing things as they're experimenting with fumigating and doing other things in warehouses that can be done much quicker to clean than has been done in the past. In addition, they've made their employees feel much more comfortable by distributing millions of protective masks starting on April 5th. So this suggests that they're enabling their employees to feel more comfortable at work and probably have less turmoil that they've seen in the past, therefore increasing their capacity to process incoming orders as well as outgoing orders. They're also, in the news, reported to be building a laboratory so that they could create not only procedures but potential vaccines or other medicines that could respond to these type of events in the future. I know a lot of people have focus on orders, and Amazon orders are picking up and broadening across categories. The statement that they made was, later this week, we will allow more products into our fulfillment centers. And they actually emailed that out and said products will be limited by quantity to enable us to continue prioritizing products and protecting employees. So they're not limiting to just essential items now. They're starting to open up those purchase orders beyond just essential. However, customer sales and POs for some categories are still lagging. So what consumers or customers might consider discretionary at a time when they may be economically constrained or income constrained, travel related, and large TVs and other items that aren't essential within some consumers' minds, we are seeing sales in those select categories lag. Grocery is a place where it's booming. You can imagine that Amazon's been overwhelmed, and they have in that area still very limited delivery capability. Their online ordering capacity has increased by over 60%, but they're still deluged with the demand. They announced that they expect the combination of restricted capacity due to social distancing and customer demand will continue to make finding available delivery windows challenging for customers. If you are able to do so, we kindly encourage our customers who can shop to shop in person. Interesting statement by an Amazon person, but specifically Amazon Grocery and Whole Foods, because of the environment in which they're in. They are an area that is continuing to add capacity because they've seen such demand that it's still far beyond what they'd ever anticipated. If you're ordering groceries from them, you'll find that you may be put on a wait list. These are some of on this slide, it shows some of the fastest growing categories, as you can imagine. Disposable gloves tops the list at 670% growth from March 2019 to March 2020. As state-directed lockdowns continue and expand, Amazon has seen very high growth in many categories, as you can imagine. Customers are forced to buy online, and these customers that are forced to buy online are expected to buy more online going forward. So people that in the past had not thought about buying online are finding themselves there and are realizing that it can be convenient in many cases. This shows increases. There are some categories, as I mentioned, what may be considered discretionary items that are showing perhaps a lag or decrease in sales because of economic uncertainty and people watching their budgets a little bit more closely. A lot of items that you see on this list are around food or items that while you're at home, you want to, you think more about, such as health monitors and fitness equipment. As we mentioned last week, there is a delayed delivery time. However, as you can see on this slide, these delivery times to customers for FDA products are much greater than normal. However, we're starting to see these numbers come down. So it's seeing that the delivery time is getting faster on Amazon tells us that capacity is increasing, and have had customers reporting that products are getting delivered 2 or 3 days before Amazon's ship promise. So more and more indications that Amazon is recovering internally and able to process faster.
So we are still seeing a surge in consumer demand every single week. That's driven by more consumers shopping online as lockdowns continue and other states go into lockdown modes. It's also as Amazon's operations are improving. We're seeing a surge within the ship COGS just because we're able to get things out the door this week versus a week in the future, as Al mentioned, as they move up those promised delivery dates. During this time, main thing there is to continue looking at dropship orders. Dropship orders with the surging consumer demands, they're continuing to be higher. With your dropship orders, keep looking at and trying to prevent out of stock, so keep having inventory there loaded whenever possible. If you're doing dropship, if you're not doing dropship, again, we would highly suggest or encourage you to set that up. Dropshipping will continue to eliminate bumps in your forecast if you've got it enabled. If you don't have dropship, expect to try and invest heavily in the Born to Run once that comes available again. If you're using dropship, consider this a great opportunity to log your consumer data as that comes across. As you see those orders, that gives you an idea of who exactly is buying your products and where they're buying them at. And then again, you want to maintain this as long as possible. Right now, we would say to at least, if you're not planning on doing dropship in the future after this pandemic ends, expect to at least be doing it until the end of May. That's what we're seeing right now. We expect at the end of May for Amazon orders to start to stabilize a little bit more based upon what we're hearing. As Al mentioned, POs have resumed, but they are lighter on non-essential products. We're seeing where the consumer sales, again, are higher than Amazon's purchase orders on those non-essential products. That's normally not the case, and that just shows how operationally limited Amazon is at this point in time. Those POs should continue to tick up, though, as Amazon ramps their workforce. And again, Born to Run continues to be suspended. Right now, we're not expecting them to come back up until after May, so probably in the June timeframe right now if everything goes as well as it's been going. One key thing to note here is chargebacks are still waived. They're only waived until May 1st, so even though it might go into May, they may extend that. Just keep planning on that May 1st date and make sure that you're shipping everything within the month of April anyway. If anything's going to get pushed out to May, then start resuming normal operations when confirming POs. Make sure that you're shipping on time and make sure that you're not down confirming everything. Same thing with SIOC. If you're shipping any SIOC products right now, expect to terminate that May 1st if you want to eliminate the chargebacks. We are starting to see faster RBS responses now, particularly late at night and on the weekends. RBS is currently working from home, but as Al mentioned, Amazon's been expanding their workforce, and that continues with RBS as well as they're getting more cases right now, and as RBS is getting the backlog down on those previous cases. We're still continuing to see catalog issues, so things that we're still noticing, incorrect weights, titles, missing costs, those are still randomly appearing, so make sure you're continually checking that. With the retail teams and RBS, they're still being tasked with supporting COVID-19 projects in general. And then we're also still seeing increased off-cycle POs. So one thing that we're noticing is manual ISM orders. So you'll have your normal orders that go out normally Sunday night. We're seeing some manual ISM orders that are happening early Monday morning, late into the evening, and then even on other days such as Tuesday and Wednesday where you're not normally getting orders to begin with. So keep an eye out for them. Again, as of right now, it's not a problem if you're confirming those late. Just make sure you're confirming them within 7 days. Same thing with the ship delivery windows, still seeing extended ship and delivery windows there. It doesn't necessarily matter right now if you're shipping outside those windows, but after the May 1st, you'll want to be paying attention to those. Same thing with the future ship delivery windows. For those orders, you actually do want to ship within that time frame. Often to the feature, you don't want to be shipping that beforehand. You don't want to be shipping that later than that. So far, what we're seeing is we're seeing them all the way out to the end of May. We haven't seen anything into June yet that at least is pandemic related. Forecasting continues to be extremely important. The current forecast that I'm seeing and that Amazon's seeing as well is that they're estimating the impact of the virus to continue until the end of May. At the end of this month, we'll want to look at that, or you'll want to look at that again as well and see if it needs to be updated into the month of June. But currently right now, it's expecting that this demand is going to continue until then. Make sure that you are monitoring your consumer sales, though, because those will drive your POs. We're also seeing in some categories, as Al has mentioned, the demand isn't always there on some of those. We're seeing in some categories that would be considered essential, but we're seeing on the consumer sales, some of that is actually, some of the POs are much higher than the consumer demand. It's much higher because Amazon expecting increased demand in those categories just because they're essential products, but the consumer demand just seems to be normal on those. If you're seeing that, you'll want to take a look at that because what that's doing is that's inflating your weeks of cover on those products. And then once Amazon basically sees the consumer demand hasn't ramped up to those new levels, you're going to see POs actually end up dropping. So just keep that in mind when you're doing your forecasting. Another thing that we're seeing in terms of AMS, we're seeing competitors actually starting to reevaluate AMS spend. They're seeing the same opportunity that we are. So the word is out there now that a lot of competition has dropped off and AMS has become cheaper. Those with budget are starting to pop back on. So if you're not already there and taking advantage of that, you might want to look at that. What we suggest doing is adding your AMS spend back or increasing your budget on that as much as you can, just to try and capture higher relevance and search rate before that actually does resume, before everybody does jump back on board. Again, we're currently seeing higher ROI and low ACOGs in most categories. So we do suggest running still ads on things we normally wouldn't suggest, such as display or competitor terms, spending budget there while the competition is decreased. Same thing there, just as a reminder, in terms of dropship, if you don't have that capabilities, make sure you're keeping an eye out on your weeks of cover, because once your inventory does run out or if it starts to run low, you don't want to be spending money on that because you will just be spending money towards 3P sales. So again, same thing that still applies, only run ads on products that you've got in stock. In terms of marketing, so Prime Day is delayed. There's been no specific date announcement yet. What we're hearing, though, internally from Amazon is it's expected to be pushed out until August some time frame. April and May category events are still being postponed and canceled. So if you did spend money for any of those events or anything planned, again, try and get that money paid back from Amazon or shift it to another event in the future. Vine has also been suspended recently. In terms of promotions, so make sure you do have promotions planned and ready to enter. If you have promotions already entered in there, they're still in the system. They will go live once Amazon resumes everything. We saw the ones for April actually go live for a couple of days, and then Amazon decided to take that down again. We would expect something similar to occur within May. Amazon might decide to let that start running again if things look like they're going back to normal. If you don't have your promotions in for May, try and get them in as soon as possible once it goes back in live. Again, as of right now, we're expecting Amazon to reevaluate promotions at the end of this month, decide if May they'll let them resume, and if they don't, then we would expect it wouldn't occur until June. Amazon continues to combat price gouging, and they're shutting down ASINs that seem to have higher than normal pricing or getting complaints from consumers. We're seeing that just in the increased activity of suspensions for the virus. Something interesting to note is business consumers actually still have access to the deals page. So we mentioned in the past that the deals page, which you can see down there at the bottom, circled in red, where it says today's deals, that is removed on the normal Amazon gateway page for regular consumers. Business consumers actually still have access to that. So if you have a business account, you can access deals. And there actually are some deals in some categories that are still running that Amazon has let there. So if you do have a business presence anyway, that's one thing you might want to take advantage of anyway if you want to run deals there. Same thing with self-service promotions too. So again, they've all been halted. The only ones that are still running is price discounts and promo codes. We've actually seen some pretty good results with the price discounts if you're trying to match other sources or just trying to give consumers a little bit of a reason to buy your products over competitors. So you may want to consider using those since everything is shut down.
There's still a lot of uncertainty with so many changes happening with Amazon and in each of our daily lives, whether it's stay at home or how our work is operating to process products, process orders, and limitations that we have there. It's great to be able to bring you these changes in each one of these areas. We'll stay on top of here at Navazon, around the clock, stay on top of all the changes that we see in terms of its impact on Amazon, its impact on our clients, and impact on the future of business here with Amazon. What we have seen is that more customers than ever in this situation are buying on Amazon. People that were previously reluctant or had limited purchases on Amazon are now at home and much more comfortable buying on Amazon. And in fact, Amazon was the only retailer among the e-commerce companies covered by Wall Street firm Jefferies in which consumers are spending more since the coronavirus. So it's really important that we're staying on top of this for you, and we recognize that, and we'll continue to bring you updates in between each of our weekly meetings so that we ensure that we're bringing all of the applicable items to bear in discussing those on an individual basis through our account managers and with you. We appreciate your business. And as you mentioned, it's a time when consumers are spending more time online and becoming more comfortable with it. So we appreciate your focus on it and think that it's really important for business moving forward. Now, thank you everybody for joining us today.